Hey guys, and welcome to Faewood. So I'm still going with the costume for the Goblin Ball. I've now created the neck corset and the corset, and I've got the skirt left to create for the costume. Obviously some more accessories and things that I haven't yet done. And I'm also going to be doing some more embellishment on the bits of the costume I've already done as well. But yeah, I'm going to start getting the pattern pieces ready for the skirt. Now, having a look at the sizing again, I'm noticing that it runs really small. So the sizes that it refers to for centimeters are not correct in terms of like the measurements I would normally see for those sizes. I apologize for all the cockatoo noise you can hear out the side there. There's a whole group of cockatoos that have just landed in our backyard there and making a huge racket. Anyway, so yeah, looking at the sizing and trying to work out what size that translates to me. I'm gonna have to like size up 2 sizes or something like that, possibly 3. Crazy. But you know, I'm gonna go by measurements, not size, because that's gonna be more accurate, and yeah, I want to make sure it fits. So I'm gonna try and cut out the pattern pieces now for it, and get started on the skirt. So I'm continuing on with my skirt. I did a bit of an intro yesterday, and that was like right before 5. I ran out of time cutting up the pattern pieces, so I did what I could and then called it for the night. I was kind of done. I hope this is bright enough. I don't have like lights on me at the moment because I just didn't want to be all in shadow, and my ring light's kind of trapped over there. I'm just being really lazy. I could move all my tables out and move that around and blah blah blah, but hopefully this is sufficient. So basically, because I've been eating my feelings lately after Scooter passed away, it turns out I've put on a little bit of weight. So, and then the pattern is, like I've said all the way along, really runs very small. According to the pattern, I need to size up like 3 dress sizes. So I'm gonna try not to like feel really sad about that because I know it's not true. I might have put on a little bit of weight, but I'm definitely not in a totally different dress size realm. I mean, as it stands, looking at this pattern, I'm going to have to go for the largest size. So, you know, and I don't know if I'm maybe overcompensating, but I did measure myself quite a number of times, and according to the measurements on the back, that's where we're at. I've got big hips, but I didn't think they were size 22 hips, but according to Simplicity and Firefly Path, they are. So thanks guys. Just kidding. Not really. I really don't like having to look at that and cut out that size pattern and so forth. Part of me is sort of hoping I'll cut it all out and it'll be too massive, but then I'll also be hating life because I'll have to redo it. So yeah, that's where we're at. I am going to have you on time lapse while I start pinning pattern pieces to material and cutting it out, and you know, putting the backing on and all that sort of fun stuff, because it's not that exciting to watch for a long period of time. most of the pattern pieces now for the skirt. I do need to cut out a couple more pieces for the overskirt. I'm really hoping I've got enough material for the overskirt because I didn't think I did, and then I've learned, and I've probably mentioned this, I don't know, I've filmed so many different segments of the progress of this that I forget what I've told you guys and what I haven't, but I realized that all of the material that I bought, thinking, oh, I don't have enough, there was all these different versions of, like, if the fabric's this wide, you need this much, or if it's this wide, you need this much. This is how novice I am. I had no idea, so I bought all of the combinations, or tried to buy all of the different combinations, only to not have enough and think, oh crap, I'm gonna run out. I mean, I did think it seemed like a lot of material, but I just, I just went with it. I didn't know. So yeah, I've got like excess of everything that I bought except lining, unless I might have another piece of lining because I had to get that in two separate like sections. Like they unrolled one bit and cut it and then unrolled a separate part for me and cut it. Anyway, I've got my pieces mainly cut out and I've been trying to work out the length of the skirt, like what length I need for my skirt. I'm gonna have high heels on. I think it needs to be about 38, 39 inches long, I think. I've been sort of sitting there holding the tape measure and having it like, drop to my feet or whatever and like, kneel, like lean up with my toes to sort of act like I've got high heels on. Probably should just go get the high heels or something like that. Or probably should just get a skirt that I already like own that is about the length I want and measure that. Yeah, this like, now I'm thinking of all the really smart ideas that I didn't do. I haven't cut it yet though, so I might still like try a couple of those things just to be sure. So yeah, basically the skirt length when finished seems like it's meant to be like 44 inches. And I need it to be 38 to 39, and that's allowing for high heels and allowing for a little bit of pulling of the material on the floor. That might end up annoying me, I don't know. I mean, I love the aesthetic of it, and when I look at the picture I'm like, yes, it must pull on the floor and look luxurious and lovely, but then I think then I'm gonna want to walk and I'm gonna want to dance and like I don't know. I don't know. I might see how that goes. Look, I can probably hem it, although the pattern seems to suggest that you can't adjust the length once you start the skirt. Like it's like it really stresses that you must, cut the pieces to length before you start because there's no opportunity to change the length. But I mean, you can hem a skirt, can't you? Am I missing something here? Maybe it's just that it's easier to do beforehand. I don't know, but I'm gonna try to get it right, and then like worst case, I'm sure I can cut and hem it, surely, so that's where we're at, and I'm gonna cut all of these pieces. I cut them to the full length to start with, to be honest, because I wasn't sure, and I thought, oh, I'll just cut them all at the same length and then I'll trim them all by the same length. Not the smartest way to do it, again, because it's a waste of material. Not the smartest way to do it, and I think if I did it again, I would not do that, but we're here, we've already done it, so we're just gonna forge ahead. Okay, well, I did try cutting out some of the pattern pieces for the overskirt. Well, I actually didn't cut it. I put the pattern pieces down and tried to work out how much I need. And I knew going in that I was probably short, but I was sort of hoping that it was another one of those scenarios where I was buying way too much material because of, you know, multiple versions of like material thickness. Turns out not so much for this one. So I've got excess material for everything else, and for the overskirt I don't have enough. But it actually is okay because this is the overskirt material that I bought, and while it is really pretty, it's a little bit of a different tone to what I think will work. I don't think... Let me get a little bit of the material for the neck corset to hold it next to this, and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so this is the material that I bought, you know, thinking it would be good for the overskirt, and then this is the neck corset. So the tone is just not quite right. This is a very almost greeny gold, and this is a very browny bronzy colour, and I really don't have any other colour like this in the costume to tie it together. So this isn't gonna work, and I really don't have enough anyway, so I'm not about to go and buy extra of this for the overskirt because I don't think it's gonna look great. I'll keep this for something else. I'm sure some other project will come up where, you know, I can make use of this or use it for I don't know, photography backdrop maybe, or whatever. But now that I'm getting into sewing a bit more, you know, I don't mind having some extra bits of material that I can use for different things. So I'm going to see if I can get more of a warm tone gold. It can be, it doesn't have to be bronze, I don't think. It can be a gold, because I do have little pops of gold, but just not this sort of real cool tone greeny gold. It's just not going to suit this project. My battery is about to die, but I was going to say I am about to do stay stitching on my skirt. Now, I had to look up what stay stitching was because I had no idea. Turns out it's stitching that just needs to be in a certain direction to help things not stretch out too much. So, you know, you might stitch on both ends of one piece of material, for example, like a neck line or something, you might stitch from both ends to the center or whatever, and it just helps it not stretch out. So thank you, YouTube. That will help me continue with what I'm doing. So time to do some stitching. I might also add, I'm doing this at 1 o'clock. I've just got dinner on cooking downstairs. I'm making a pumpkin soup. I'm here by myself because my husband's hanging out with some workmates tonight, and I figured it's a good opportunity to keep going with what I'm doing, but why not do it with a glass of wine? You guys often see me here in my studio at 1 o'clock. You know, I do tend to work later into the night sometimes, particularly if my husband's not here. If he's here, I try not to like squirrel myself away in the studio, and I'll do some sort of project in front of the TV. But when he's away, I'll be in the studio a lot of the time, and you know, I might pour myself a glass of wine and bring it up with me while I work, and then stop when I'm finished and have some dinner. So that's the plan. Okay, so I've finished the outer skirt part in the red fabric. It seems to fit I'm still dirty about that Firefly path and simplicity. It's a size 22 and I am definitely not size 22. I'm usually a size 16. So yeah, look, if you think you might be a larger size than me, probably don't get this pattern because it does run very small. The measurements I think were pretty accurate, so check the back of the pattern and have a look at the measurements, see if they fit, you know, what your measurements are. Don't look at just your normal size because that won't be accurate. So yeah, it does seem to fit so far, but we'll see. I haven't made the lining yet, and I've got to put the zipper in now, and I'm really nervous about that. I've never done it, and I'm led to believe that putting a zipper into things is pretty difficult, so we'll see how that goes. Also, I just note that this material, while it's gorgeous and beautiful and everything, it's really fragile. Like, I can rub this metallic off just with a little bit of friction. I was writing like the pattern piece numbers on some of the pieces, and then on the other side of the material, like I was writing it on the underside, and then when I turned it over, I could see where the size had like worn away. So yeah, that's not great. Anyway, I'm going to try this zipper and let you know how I go. Okay, there's the zip. It's far from perfect, as you can see. The bottom part seemed to work out pretty well. It's pretty well hidden. And then the top part, I don't know what happened there. I was having trouble getting the stitching to start, you know, get it to start stitching. It was like not grabbing the material properly and stuff, and started kind of pulling it more as it was stitching and stuff. I could undo that and redo it and try and make it nicer, but you know what, there's a good chance it'll be exactly the same. I'm just going to go with it. I figure as a first ever zip, it's not the worst. It's a long way from the best, but it's not the worst. So it's Sunday afternoon and I'm continuing on with the skirt. I've just finished doing the lining and now I've got to try and line up the lining with the skirt. I swear I read the instructions for the lining a million times. I don't know what it was about that part of it, but it was trying to explain what you needed to iron, and I just couldn't work it out. I was like, I think because I didn't know whether I needed to iron the slits that go up the skirt, or, you know, because it was talking about ironing the raw edge, but it didn't say which raw edge. And anyway, I think I've worked it out, and I think I've done it correctly. And yeah, so it's looking like lining anyway. We'll see how that goes. This camera is so bloody heavy holding this up. Let me turn you around and show you what I've got so far. It doesn't look like much because I've just started to put the skirt into the lining. And then I've got to match up all the edges and do some stitching and stuff like that. Oh yeah, we did go to Spotlight the other day. I mentioned that other material wasn't going to work, and so I got this material instead. And I think it's going to work out really nicely. It's got this really nice sparkle to it, and it like picks up on some of that gold colouring from the other material without being like super gold or anything. But far out, it was so funny. I was saying to the lady, I've had like all this trouble getting the right amount of material for everything, and I'm like, I really hope there's enough material. And she's like, oh yeah, sometimes they wrap remnants around these things and you don't know. Next thing you know, it was a bloody remnant, and and it wasn't looking like there was going to be enough. But luckily there was another roll and it ended up being fine, and there was a little bit of damage on one part, like there was a join on the material, which you can't see, but she did give me a discount for that as well. But you need so much of this, like 6 yards or whatever, really long. It is an overskirt, and I think it's like it's ruffled, so that's sort of some of the instructions there. You can see like it's gathered, so I think that's why it just takes so much material. But yeah, I should have plenty now, thank goodness. And yeah, it's coming along. I think it's looking okay. It's looking like a skirt so far, so we'll see if it ends up okay. Let me flip you around again. Alright, yeah, so so far so good. I think I'm going to now try and pin this and stitch it a bit further, and then I think there's only a few more steps, like doing the hemline and stuff like that, and then it should be done. So I did a sort of a loose fit, you know, trying it on, and it looks like it fits. I guess we'll find out when it's all finished to see if the finished product fits really nicely. Fingers crossed. Well, guys, it's not going well. I thought the skirt was going to be much easier, and instead I'm finding it much harder. I don't know what it is, but the instructions for the skirt I just didn't understand. I kept having to read it over and over and over again, just trying to work out what I was meant to do with what seam, and like some of the instructions maybe they make more sense to someone who like knows what they're doing, but I really don't know. So you know, there was things like break the seam and reinforce and stuff, and I was like, what do you mean? And then turn it inside or turn it outside, and then the picture didn't seem like it looked like it matched what they were saying or the way I was interpreting what they were saying. And so basically I've done what I think I need to do, but it's there's a couple of issues. So the issue has been these splits in the skirt. I had to like sew the lining on underneath, and I don't know, maybe the instructions, like I said, made more sense to someone who's done this more than I have, but I didn't really understand what it was saying. It was saying something along the lines of, you know, sew up to the dot, break and reinforce, or break stitching and reinforce or something like that. And I did my best to follow that, but like when I turned it back over, this was looking really bunchy, and I must have sewn weirdly up too far or I don't know. So I tried to unpick it, and then I've picked a bloody hole into the skirt. So I'm gonna hand stitch that closed. It's not looking amazing, but it's not as bad as it was. So I think I'm gonna keep going with it like how it is. There is going to be some reinforced stitching around this split anyway, so I'm hoping that will make it look a bit nicer. Again, when in doubt, embellish. Maybe if it looks really terrible, I'll pull out one of the decorative embroidery stitches that my sewing machine does and do that, or put some beadwork on there or something to hide all my foibles. So if I look like a completely beaded, embellished, you know, ball of, I don't know, dragon, you'll know what happened. You'll know, the more embellishment you see, you'll know the more mistakes I've made. I don't know. I'm gonna forge ahead, but God, I thought I'd have this skirt finished today. I was really hoping to, I even thought maybe I'd finish the skirt and the overskirt today, because I started at about lunchtime. It's nearly 5 now. And, you know, look, it's getting there, but I've just really struggled with mainly just understanding the instructions. And again, like someone who knows what they're doing probably just knows from doing things like it what to do, but when you're a novice like me and you're really relying on those instructions to make sense, it can be difficult. So yeah, I don't think this, look, I mean, it's obviously not a beginner pattern. I mean, let's be honest. Like, there's 2 corsets in this pattern and a friggin' skirt with lining and shit. I mean, this is like, I've definitely pushed myself well and truly outside any sort of comfort zone I might have had. So I should have known going in that this would be really difficult. I think I'm going okay, but like I said, I mean, I would never, this is like so far from anything that could be sold or, you know, like any sort of professional job. But I feel like I'm learning. I'm losing a little bit of confidence when I'm doing this particular part of the costume. But overall, I think my confidence in sewing is growing, which is good. So it means I will definitely try some more sewing adventures down the track, I think. Guys, I've been working on the project again for quite a number of hours today. It's night time, you might be able to tell in the background, it's dark. And I thought I would just check in with you and let you know how things are progressing. I have been working mainly on the skirt, and I have got the, oh, you can't really see, I've started pinning the pieces for the overskirt, so I will share that with you as well. But like mostly today I've been working on the skirt. There was a fair bit of hand stitching with this one. mainly like at around the zip area, stitching in the slip stitching in the lining and stuff like that, and hand stitching like the inside part of the waist band or whatever. I need to get, I thought I had a hook and eye, but I don't have a hook and eye, so I need to get some sort of hook and eye closure thing. It's slightly big, but it's fitting okay, so it'll be fine. And looking pretty good actually. It's got 2 splits up the sides. I will try and do a wear, you know, test or wear, like to show you it on at some point, but it's dark and cold right now, so I'm not going to do it right now. Whether or not it's in the same video as this, I'm not sure. I've got so much footage that I'm not really sure how all the videos are going to be, you know, cut or whatever. So, I mean, look, all in all, I think it's come out pretty good. I was really concerned about the splits. I had a real mess of a time doing that. That was really difficult. There was a lot of pressing of material, which was tricky. I think it would definitely be worth my while to get some really good type of iron. I'm sure there's specialty irons. In fact, I think someone did leave a comment on a video which I haven't really thoroughly read yet. It's just come out where someone was saying there's like an iron you can get. So I'll have to have a look into that because I think it could be worthwhile. It is so dark here. I'm sorry. I'm like trying to look at myself in the viewfinder to see if I'm lit up well enough because everything else looks dark in the background. This is a decently sized room, but once you put the 2 tables that I work on, you know, for a majority of my projects, and then having the photography lights and the camera on the tripod and so forth, and trying to move it around and fit it, it actually is a little bit squeezy to do all of that in here, mainly because of the table, really. And it's just the only way I know how to organize things. In fact, as well, I don't know if I'll be able to show you. You can't really see, but you can't really see. Underneath the sewing machine there, I have got drawers, and when I did the redesign of my studio and moved a lot of things around and everything, I needed to work out where to put some of the drawers and stuff like that. And at the time I thought I was really clever. Oh, I'll slide them under the table, they fit just perfect under there. Of course, if anyone sews, you know that you need to put your legs under the table and you need the presser foot to be under that table. So right now I'm actually sitting with my legs off to the side and my presser foot down there and sort of doing some sort of weird side motion sewing. It's not ideal, and I don't know, I should just move them, and it's just a thing of like there's nowhere else for them to go that fits. So, but like it's just not ideal, so I'm gonna have to rethink that, I think, because this is just not. I've done this whole project side stitching. It's like, you know, side saddle, like horse riding style or something like that. Both legs off to one side, presser foot, crazy. Anyway, the skirt, I'm pretty happy with it. I think the length has come out pretty good. I took about 5 inches off the bottom. I'm about 5'2". I'm really bloody short. I'm Scottish heritage, you know, we're all friggin' short, so that's the way it goes. I'm going to be wearing these heeled shoes though, and so I adjusted the length with that in mind, because you do want to think about what shoes you're wearing when you take off like a hem. I may be a novice, but that much I know. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to share with you guys how the overskirt goes, so let's get into that. I've been chatting a long time already, so I'd better stop and start sewing.